Hello and welcome to this week's video. So today we're going to be having a look at vintage Star Wars on vinyl record, and this is particularly vinyl 12-inch and album records. So I have already shown you my 7-inch records, and those went down really well. People said, "Oh, that's fantastic!" Loads of stuff that they'd never seen before. So it was only right that as soon as I got to my LPs that I did a video on them. So that is going to be the focus of today's video. And blimmin' heck, there's loads of them, I tell you. So without further ado, then sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay then, so let's have a look at this very first album. Now I have to say, I was a little shocked when I managed to get all my albums out. I didn't realise I had quite so many related to Star Wars. So without further ado then, let's get in. I've sort of semi-sorted them out within movie first of all, so starting with the original soundtrack. And some of them I'm not 100% sure why I've got more than one copy of. Either they're like a foreign release or something like that. But I believe this is the very first soundtrack for the original film, Star Wars. This is a beautiful gatefold sleeve, so I'm hoping that I've given the camera enough room to get all of this in, but I don't want to take away any of the detail, but you get to see the fantastic photos that were inside this one. I'm sure I've mentioned before on the channel that I used to have a collector's shop which sold a lot of Star Wars stuff, and yeah, it's just the standard first release, I think, 1977. And we also sold records, so we sold comics, we sold action figures, we sold sci-fi books, both new and old, lots of Doctor Who stuff, you know, that sort of thing. And we also sold 7-inch records and LPs. So when Star Wars came along, if it was something that I didn't think I had, I would grab it for my own collection. So that's what this is. So that's why I've probably ended up with so many little variations. See, this is once again the same original Star Wars album for the first film, but this one, well, I think it may be a German copy, although it is just ever so slightly different. It's probably just a later pressing. You can see the difference in the corner there. Here's another version of it. Absolutely love this one. This is the same standard album. However, this one comes with a 4-color poster. Now, the poster I have, but I could not put my hands on it. The reason I took it out of this was because it was getting a little bit damaged actually in here. So I remember taking it out and keeping it flat. So I believe it's with my magazines. So at some point over the next sort of unboxing videos, we will come across that one. So just for the sake of completeness, I'm going to whack a picture of the poster that comes with this one, just so that you know which one to look for. Just as a little guide, this one complete with a poster goes for about £30 to £35. The poster on its own is worth about £20. Here's another copy of Star Wars, so Creed to Stern, so I'm pretty sure that's German. It's got a different jacket. Some might say a better jacket simply because it's got the artwork cover rather than just the plain black. Really nice on the back there. And this is the German copy. Same pictures in the middle, exactly the same on the gatefold. So that's all my copies of the original soundtrack, fantastic as it is. Next, who remembers listening to these? So the story of Star Wars. So before it was on home video, one of the best ways to listen to Star Wars was this, and it was an abridged version of the movie with original dialogue and a little bit of narration sometimes as well. This one does say it comes with a booklet, so let's pull this one out. Oh yeah, here we are. So just so you could follow the action along, and I remember having a few of these as a kid. I started when I was really young. I had some for like the Jungle Book and some Disney stuff. And then I remember having this one. I think I've got the Tron one and Black Hole, which I'm sure will come across shortly. But this is really nice because it's so big, isn't it? You know, it's the size of a 12-inch record. So this is a really nice piece to have. And I remember loving these as a kid, although I never really had them on vinyl. I actually had them on cassette, which didn't quite have the same impact. But that was the way I had them, and I loved them to death at the time. They're really nice, aren't they? So that's, once again, from the day, 77. I have a funny feeling, though, that is not British. I think this is an American pressing of that one. Yeah, so this is a USA edition, that one. I thought it was by the type of sleeve. Here's another copy of this, and I wonder, but this is probably the British one, I'm guessing. Yes, this is the RCA British one, whereas the previous one that we looked at was the American one. This one, sadly, does not have the book, so it's been done a bit on the cheap, which is a bit of a cop-out, isn't it? It's not really fair. And we've got yet another copy of the Story of Star Wars, which is on a picture disc, of all things. Now, how nuts is that? So it's the Story of Star Wars on that rather snazzy picture. And that's pretty nice, isn't it? Let's be honest. I don't have many picture discs left. I don't really collect records nowadays, although you think twice when you see this lot. But what I mean by that is I don't really collect pop records, as it were. You know, I don't collect any real pop artists. I love the Beatles, but I wouldn't say I was a Beatles collector. But that's really nice, isn't it, to have a picture disc? Now, because Star Wars was so popular, you had the inevitable spin-offs. So I think old Jeff Love was one of the most popular back in the day. And these would be dirt cheap, sold in places like Woolworths. Music for Pleasure, it was like a budget label. And these would have been like $1.99, $2.99. They make a big bones that they've got the Star Wars theme there. It's not the London Philharmonic Orchestra, as conducted by John Williams. This is Jeff Love and his part-time orchestra knocked up to do a cheap cash-in. That's who this is. So not a lot of fun with these. But however, if you are a science fiction collector, I guess you want to get these. And apart from Star Wars, you've got lots of other series there. So I suppose you have to keep it as part of the collection. This is pretty cool. So this is Star Wars and Other Galactic Funk by Mecco. Contains the hit single. You remember we have the 7-inch of this one. It's got that really sort of funky 70s disco cover there by Rodriguez. And this is the full album. It's a British pressing. It's dated 1977, so during Star Wars mania, you could say. Pretty cool, eh? That's pretty cool. This next one is a French one. Le Gueux des Étoiles. And this is sealed, so I can't actually take this one out. So by Galaxy 42. And this is a 12-inch. And it's a disco version of Star Wars. A completely plain back, except it's got like an 8 francs on there. How unusual. But I've got to keep it sealed because, well, I daren't open it because, these are collectors, What's this? The London Philharmonic Orchestra plays Star Wars, music composed by John Williams, and a stereo Space Odyssey, including the theme from 2001. Okay, so what's all this about then? So it says it's composed by John Williams, and one side is Star Wars, and one side is 2001 A Space Odyssey. It looks and smells like a budget release, doesn't it? Yeah. Still dated 1977, and it's got Star Wars right in the front there, so I guess it has to have a part of the collection. Now this is very, very similar. So this is London Philharmonic and a 2001 A Space Odyssey. It's basically the same thing. It's in a different sleeve, and they've added this sticker. This is not a recording of the original soundtrack. I reckon they were probably made to put that on because they were deceiving people, thinking, oh, look, it's a Star Wars soundtrack, and it's not. It's highlights of it, and it's not the original soundtrack. And here we go again. There's another little version of it. So London Philharmonic Orchestra plays Star Wars, but with that all-important sticker on it. This is not a recording of the original soundtrack. It's got different artwork, which is not great. Recorded under the direction of D.L. Miller. Well, who the hell's D.L. Miller? I don't care. It's not great, but it is Star Wars, so it has to be part of the Star Wars collection. Right, what's this one? Patrick Gleason's Star Wars. Selections from the film performed on the world's most advanced synthesizer, Mercury Records. Was Patrick Gleason some sort of synth guy? Oh, God, is that him? Patrick Gleason's stunning and surreal interpretation of the music from the film. Well, you've got to admit, that looks utter tripe. 1977 again. Anything seemed to have gone in 1977. Oh, I thought I'd taken all mine out of their sleeves, because some of these were in old plastic sleeves that have well, they've just aged really. This one missed quality control somehow. Let's see if I can get him out of the sleeve, because I'm going to get myself some new sleeves, new plastics for these, because they've done their job. They've protected the records, but on the other hand, they've aged. This is what I'm talking about. These old sort of plastic sleeves here. So I'm going to get some new ones for these. So this is the Sounds of Star Wars, the Sonic All Stars. So that sounds like Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't know about anything else. The Sounds of Star Wars. Pickwick Records, which is another budget label. Doesn't give a date on that, but it's all around that time. It's only got stuff from the first film. And that, believe it or not, that's just Star Wars, which is nuts, isn't it? But I haven't got quite as many for the other movies, you'll be pleased to hear. So let's go on to Empire Strikes Back. So this is Empire, and it's just a single disc version. So it's got the main tracks on. See in the corner there, got the main tracks on. Beautiful artwork on that one. And this is, as I said, the one disc version. So there's got pictures on the inner sleeve, which is quite nice. 1980. I still don't actually know which pressing this is. So it's the British. So that's just the British RSO pressing, single disc pressing of The Empire Strikes Back. So that's cool. Then we've got this one here, which is another single disc pressing. Why have I got two? I ask myself. I wonder, what is the difference between these? Is it a different catalogue number? No, everything seems the same. I wonder if there's a variation on the label. Let's have a look. Oh, well, no, it's in an inner sleeve. Well, I can't quite tell why I've got two copies of that, because to me they look virtually identical. I can't see any differences, so I shall leave that for the experts. But anyway, it's such a good soundtrack, I don't mind having two copies of that one. Now this is another one. Now this one's that is still in the plastic sleeve, and I've kept it in there because it's one of these gatefold adaptions. It's actually got like a book inside this one. So this is it a double LP? It is, yeah. So it's a double LP. So there's two actual records in here. So it's on the music is on four sides, you see. So it's like an extended version. It's still the British RSO version from 1980, but all importantly, it's got this really nice sort of booklet inside, which is pretty cool, isn't it? I mean, this is like the deluxe version, isn't it, of the soundtrack, rather than that single disc version. Fantastic, eh? Really, really good, that one. That is what you call a soundtrack, you know what I mean? That is how to do it. So that's the two-disc version of Empire Strikes Back. And I got another gatefold version of it here. So this is The Adventures of Luke Skywalker, Empire Strikes Back. Now, what is this one then? What can this be? This is a single disc version. Yeah, this is The Empire Strikes Back. It's a later re-release, but it's in a gatefold sleeve. So it's still a British one. It's got a different cover, much better than that plain one there. But it's in a gatefold sleeve, so that's the variation on that one, which is really nice. But it is also still the British RSO Records one. What I'm going to do, because these are getting rather high, I'm going to shove them all the way over there, like that. So we got a bit of room for the next one, which is this one. So this is the story of The Empire Strikes Back, and dialogue and music from the original motion picture. So these are another one of those ones that I absolutely loved as a kid. Got all the original cast, and this one says it's also got a booklet inside. So let's have a little look and see if we can find it. There we are. This is also an American pressing of this one. I cannot tell you how much I loved Empire at that time. Even any single bit of Empire Strikes Back memorabilia I pick up, it sort of transports me back to that time when I was so excited for the new movie after Star Wars. This is really nice, isn't it, with all these stills? Fantastic stuff. Cool. Now that says printed in the USA. So I'm imagining once again that this story of The Empire Strikes Back is the USA pressing, as they say, of that one. Okay, now this next one's got some beautiful artwork, but I don't know what the hell it is. So, John Williams' symphonic suite from the original motion picture score, the National Philharmonic Orchestra by Charles Gerhardt. So, special notes by Ray Bradbury, John Williams, and Christopher Palmer. Well, what is all this about then? So, what is it? It's not the original John Williams. That we can see, but it is fantastic artwork. So this is rather interesting, isn't it? It's the National Philharmonic, so it's the USA Philharmonic rather than the London Philharmonic Orchestra, the London Symphony Orchestra, who recorded it originally. And it's just their take on it, I guess. It was recorded in the UK. Very, very interesting. That I don't know a lot about that one. It's not the original score though. That's the important bit. It is just yet another conductor's take on the score. This one here is Boris Midney, music from The Empire Strikes Back. So who the hell was Boris Midney? I don't know. Oh, there he is on the back. This one's quite interesting. This is got a little promotional stamp on it. Years ago, my business partner George and I, when we had the shop Purple Haze, we bought the library of a local independent radio station that was going all digital, and we bought their entire vinyl library, and it was like, well, you've never seen anything like it. It was tens of thousands of albums, and this was one of them. And so was the next one, which was this one called Empire Jazz. So a very unusual sort of tie-in to Star Wars. I mean, how nuts is that? Darth Vader sat down at a table there. Crazy stuff. This was another little promo copy. And this was some classic Empire Strikes Back themes that have been jazzed up. This is a USA pressing. Absolutely nuts. Empire Jazz. We're now on to Return of the Jedi. So the end is nigh. So this is, I believe, the original, just the original regular soundtrack for Jedi. You know, it is what it is. A single disc, British release, classic stuff. Then we've got yet again the story of Return of the Jedi. So this is says with a nice souvenir photo book. So I'm guessing once again this is the USA pressings of these, which I'm pretty sure were imported into the UK. And this has got that really nice, another nice booklet with Jedi photographs in. Which is cool. So that's the story of Return of the Jedi. Which is nice. When they go back in, there we are. This next thing's just a print, actually, and this is a take on the classic Pink Floyd album, Wish You Were Here, the cover to Wish You Were Here, and this has got Leia giving R2 the plans, but it being blown up. And this came from a account I follow on Instagram. I think they're called Why the Long Play Face, and he's taken classic covers and made them into Star Wars versions of it. If you ever see that account on Instagram, Why the Long Play Face, go and give them a like, because these are really fun. I'm not sure what this one is. Episode 1. This is just a little thing that was sent out prior to the books being published. So that's all that is. Then we're on to Tron. We love our Tron, don't we? So this is, what's this then? This is the original Tron motion picture soundtrack. It's a single discer. This is the Is it the British? Yeah, this is the British one. This is also a promo copy because it's got the gold stamp, CBS stamp in the corner there. Wendy Carlos. Nothing much beyond that except it's the Tron soundtrack. Then we've got, well, would you believe, The Story of Tron? I remember this one. So The Story of Tron, it was exactly the same as the stories of Star Wars, except that it was the Tron story. This one doesn't have any booklet with it. It was not quite as lavish as the Star Wars ones, but still cool. Then this was a gatefold, and this is the story of Star Wars, sorry, the story of Tron, the French language edition. Now, introduced, I think, by Igor and Grichi Bogdanov. Now, these guys were like quite well known in France for being like sci-fi nerds, and they actually introduced, or certainly had a book series tying into the Doctor Who series back then. So that's those guys. And this one has got a booklet inside, which is pretty good. It's like, it's not photographs, it's actually the story in like picture book form, not comic book form, but picture book form. Look at this, it's crazy, isn't it? I think if Tron fans haven't seen this, this is perhaps a really nice addition to a Tron collection, this. And this is once again in a rather funky gatefold sleeve, as is. And then the last one, Phew, The Black Hole. John Barry's brilliant soundtrack to The Black Hole. As you know, I love a bit of Black Hole. And this is the original Black Hole soundtrack that was released in the UK by Pickwick. This is the UK Black Hole soundtrack. And that is a look at all my vinyl albums. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this little look at my Star Wars vinyl album collection. There's certainly some beautiful albums in that lot. If you have enjoyed the video, do please give it a thumbs up, and do please subscribe for regular vintage Star Wars content. That's it for today. Thanks once again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.